Do you prefer to follow or to lead? Or maybe just to steer your own path alone? How do you respond to authority, whether it's someone telling you to do something that you disagree with or you don't want to do, or whether you're the person giving the instructions? Our human self-orientation finds it so easy to justify us going our own way, to do what we please. This whole stretch of Matthew is a series of cameos of miracles. We've already considered the leper and the centurion's servant, but Jesus didn't just conduct the occasional miracle. It seems to be more of a constant stream. They were a core part of the outworking of who he was. Someone who had authority. Authority to teach, as we saw a few weeks ago, but also authority over nature. And as we're going to see today, authority to demand allegiance. We've read from Matthew 8. And in that section we have Peter's mother-in-law who is healed by a simple touch from Jesus. We have many set free from demon possession with a simple word. We have the healing of all the sick. Matthew himself highlights how this captures the very essence of who Jesus is as he cites the prophecy from Isaiah. And then this section is rounded off with Jesus waking from his sleep in the boat, getting up and rebuking the winds and the waves. The other Gospels say, simply said, "Be still," and they obey him. As the disciples respond, "What kind of man is this, that even the wind and the waves obey him?" In short, there's no area of the natural world or the spiritual world which is beyond the authority of Jesus. There is no area of the natural world or the spiritual world that is beyond the authority of Jesus. Nothing. And in the middle of these outstanding demonstrations of who Jesus is, we have the simple command, "Follow me." How is humankind going to respond to this command from such an authoritative person? Could it be that the one part of nature that can choose to disobey is human? That the very pinnacle of creation, the most intelligent being on the planet, should decide to turn away? That as the heavens declare the glory of God, man dodges the issue or even denies. You may recall that in Matthew 4, Jesus made the command, "Follow me," to 4 fishermen by the Sea of Galilee. There was Peter, and there was Andrew, and there was James, and there was John. We read there that at once they left their nets and followed him. These guys are now following him along with others, and they're listening to him and watching what he is doing. Now, a religious teacher who's obviously been following in order to listen and to watch what he did, says, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." He's definitely got the right words. Absolutely brilliant. But is he just seeing Jesus as a greater version of himself, a teacher? You see, as a religious teacher, his role came with certain status and privileges and comforts. Maybe he thought it would be the same for following this great teacher. Jesus puts any such thoughts right out the window with a statement that Jesus owns nothing more than the clothes he lives in. Seems all of us are wealthier than Jesus was. and that he has nowhere to lay his head. This was possibly very much in Jesus' feelings at this point. He's just given orders to his disciples to take him to the other side of the lake to get away from the crowds. Maybe he desperately is feeling he needs that bit of rest. And when he does so, we know that he falls asleep in the boat. This is not just about a lack of creature comforts, but it's also about a priority on his time. In short, Jesus says, if you follow me, I don't guarantee you a comfortable or an easy life. That's not what I'm about. So did the guy follow? Well, I'm afraid we read no more about him. His expression of commitment seems to be wafer thin. He was not willing to pay the price. What about you? For this religious teacher, it would seem Jesus was someone to be admired and to learn from. But actually, Jesus is God. He has authority like no other. He requires total, all-out, complete and utter commitment. And our reward is him. Then a second guy comes up close to Jesus. He's called another disciple. Clearly there's different levels of discipleship. He says, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. Now let's just understand two things before we go further. The first is this, is that Jesus is pro-care for parents. He supported the Old Testament command, honour your mother and your father. And if you check out Matthew 15, you will see that in there it effectively says, don't let your religious practice get in the way of care for your parents. And then secondly, let's bear in mind that in Jewish culture, to be there to bury your parents was an important duty of honour. To do so, you had to hang around the locality. It was considered disrespectful not to bury the body on the same day, unless it was a Sabbath day. And with no phones or to communicate and no swift transport, you could not be far away. You had to hang around close. So this was a reasonable request. But Jesus gives a strong response. Follow me. Let the dead bury their own dead. Yes, we are to honour parents, but following Jesus is more important still. Is Jesus effectively saying, but you can get somebody else to support them instead? This man, he likes the idea of following Jesus, but he's not willing to pay the price. He's effectively saying, I've got some commitments. There's some things I need to do. There's some things I need to achieve. This or that first, do that. This is not about giving up drink or drugs or even adultery or immorality. This is about giving up respectable desires, culturally good things. It's about refocusing my priority from the good to the best. What are you going for? You going for the good or for the best? Is the Spirit prompting you that you are pursuing something good when actually He has something better, more important, more urgent? And can you trust Him for all the other? Are we stuck in a rut of Western Christian religiosity and culture? The disciple says, first let me. Jesus replies, first let go. What good thing are you holding on to today? It's stopping you doing the best. Don't procrastinate. It's an urgent call. Do what only you as a disciple of Jesus can do. Let someone else do the other. May God, by His grace, awaken us by His Holy Spirit. Awaken our minds to follow Him wholeheartedly. Now. By contrast, there are two positive followings in this section. I wonder if you've heard it said, it must have been God's will, it all went so smoothly. I have a problem with the implication of that statement with regards to the reverse. You see, the disciples were given orders by Jesus to cross to the other side of the lake. And we read beautifully, his disciples followed him. As if by illustration of Jesus' response to the first man. Their obedience to Jesus' command does not lead to an easy life. No, rather they encounter one of the very worst of storms and they're scared for their lives. We are going to drown. This terrible and dramatic experience is, however, surpassed by the experience of Jesus Christ calming it all with his rebuke. Be still. And he rebukes the disciples too. O you of little faith, why are you so afraid? The old song is true. With Christ in the boat, you can smile at the storm. That takes some faith. These disciples had learnt to obey, but their faith was still catching up. We didn't read it, but in chapter 9, Matthew, the tax collector, gives something of his testimony. It's very simple. I was going about my normal business, and Jesus told me, follow me. And Matthew writes, Matthew got up and followed him. And he had Jesus round to dinner along with a bunch of other people. What is your personal testimony of following Jesus? What does Jesus' command, follow me, mean for you? Are you words without action? Are you procrastinating? Are there other things in this world that you are wanting to pursue first? I hope that we each will not respond with I will, but with action of doing so today. We're going to close with the song, We Want to See Jesus Lifted High, so that all people will know. Do you really want that? What action does that require of you today?